Ladies and gentlemen, I am JD, and I am here with Mike Ensley, Manda Manning, chairman of Pensacon and the director of marketing. And we're going to tell you, we've got a short interview with them. We're going to talk about where Pensacon 2014 fell and what's going on for 2015. So first, how are we doing?
All right, I'm doing well.
Doing well? Fantastic. How about you?
Keeping busy.
Keeping busy? That's an understatement from some of the things that we've been talking about, right? So, Pensacon 2014, it's over. Said and done, the smoke is cleared. Where did the chips fall?
Well, I'm sure you saw the numbers, but we had an overall $1.4 million impact on the local economy. We were very pleased with that, and our numbers are around 12,000 is what we're estimating right now for the overall attendance throughout the weekend. So that kind of blew our estimates out of the water.
Yeah, that includes, the weekend memberships as well as the daily memberships. So we have, 12,000 is a pretty good number.
Yeah. It's all right.
I mean, we kept saying 5,000. We kept thinking 5,000, and 12,000 is a little bit higher than that. So.
Yeah. So let me ask you this now: did you guys go in there like, all right, let's lowball this, and that way we can totally blow it out of the water, or was 5,000 at that time? Was that the realistic expectation?
I think that we thought that was a realistic expectation. Yeah. Was that it would be 5,000.
So we didn't know what to expect because we kept saying, well, what percentage do we think are going to show up at the door? And because we had, what was our final? It was 3,000 something, right? For
it was over 3,500 pre-sales.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to have a good turnout. We were going to do okay. But then once we got, so 5,000 seemed pretty reasonable. But we just had no idea when Saturday came, and it was just because we had 3,500 people on Friday, which is generally the slowest day of a convention, and we had 3,500 people through the doors on Friday. So we were like, wow, this is going well. And then Saturday morning, when we went outside, somebody said, you need to walk out and look at the lines.
And
we were like, because I was at the base center already. I was already, working with guests and getting everybody situated where they need to be and doing all that kind of stuff. And they said, you need to walk outside and see at the line over at the Crown where people are lining up to get their tickets. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, just go out there and look. So I looked, and it was literally wrapped around this building several times.
So there was one part, and I think I remember I asked you during an interview last at Pensacon, and it was like, did you have that moment where you're like, you just walk outside and like, oh God, what have we done? Or was it like, yes?
It was a mixture of both, I think. Yeah. It was a little scary, it was a little surreal, but I think it was also very rewarding.
I think the yes moment came Saturday night at the after party at the Vinyl, when we all kind of sat down finally after that day when we were so exhausted, but we still had to go and have a good time, and we all just kind of went, we did it, we made this happen, and it really happened in a way that we never imagined. So
now, actually, it's a great segue into the next question I got is what is y'all's favorite memory from Pensacon in 2014? We talked a little bit before everything got started, and you mentioned some of the after parties and stuff like that. But if you had to say, this is my favorite moment, this will forever be what I will talk about till the day that I pass, what moment is that?
For me, I think it was, I know Mike was telling you a little bit about the stories of Thursday night sitting here. Or was it Wednesday? Did we start Wednesday night?
Thursday night.
We started Thursday night.
It's hard to tell because it all merges
into one. It all blurs together. We probably got like
accumulated
hours, like 6 hours of sleep throughout the whole weekend. But I think it was that Thursday night and Friday night when the guests started trickling in. And, just being here in Pensacola and seeing Billy D. Williams and Kane Hodder and these people that you grew up watching on TV here in your hometown, and you're the reason they're here, we're greeting them and, taking them up to their hotel rooms. I think that was definitely my favorite part because that's when we realized it was real, it was happening, and it was fun. It was fun seeing them interact with each other, and it was fun just walking by and saying, hey, want to get a beer at the bar, and that I think that was definitely the fun.
That would be quite awesome.
That was
Billy D.
pretty surreal. Yeah, Billy D. Let's just go.
I mean, I had a lot of moments. I had a lot of great times. I ate lunch with Dirk Benedict one day. Just a lot of stuff that happened that I just really enjoyed. Simon Fisherbecker and I had a nice long conversation about Doctor Who and about his role in Doctor Who, and that was exciting. For me, the biggest moment of the weekend was a personal thing. I have a Chewbacca ceramic mug that I got when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And one of my goals, because the first guest I wanted to book for Pensacon was Peter Mayhew. That's my favorite Star Wars character. It's the first person I wanted to book. So when I got him, I was very excited. So I had this mug, and my whole plan the whole time was to bring it and have him sign it. And on Thursday, in the rush to get here and do everything, I left it at home. And I wasn't going home, and so without telling me, my wife saw that I left it at home. She brought the mug. She went to Peter and got it signed without me knowing it. And Sunday when I came up to the hotel room, because my wife and daughter stayed with us on Friday and Saturday night, she stayed up here at the hotel with me, and on Sunday she's like, I'm just going to go home because I know you're going to be exhausted. I'm going to let you stay at the hotel and sleep and do all that. She left it on the bed with a note saying, I love you and I'm so proud of you, and I went to Peter and got your mug signed for you because I know you forgot it. So
that is awesome.
So she left it for me she left it for me on the bed, and that's my favorite thing from Pensacon.
Dude, that's an awesome story, man, and kudos to her. That's like, not only is it epically sweet, that's just awesome, man.
Yeah.
She gets a nerd points for that, by the way, and some cool points there too. We talked a lot about you guys, what you overall did, with the 1.4 million. We talked about the head count. I know that the 1.4 kind of blankets local businesses, right? But any more like specifics on that? Like, did we, did this one shop do better than this shop? Did or something like what was the impact?
Well,
there was a huge tourism impact. We had 40% of the attendees were from out of town.
Oh,
and
wow.
We had over 5,000 room nights booked.
Oh,
and
dang.
Mike always tells a story about Joe at 10 Cow.
Yeah, the 10 Cow and Hop Jacks, Joe Abston, who owns that restaurant group, they have Hot Roast and Pinot as well. The 10 Cow had the best weekend of any restaurant in the history of any of his restaurants that weekend at Pensacon. They actually had to, in the middle of the day on Saturday, they had to send a couple people to Central Alabama where they source their meat from, because they're very much on doing local things.
That's awesome.
They had to send people there to get more beef because they were running out of burgers. And the Walking Dead party there, by far, there were just people everywhere. There were people standing outside just looking in the window at Lou Temple and Theo Crane and that. I mean, and they really, kudos to them, because they put up the boards that said, dead inside and all that kind of stuff for the Walking Dead party. So they had the best weekend they'd ever had. Really, we didn't hear from anybody who said they didn't have a bad weekend. We heard from comic book dealers who said that they did more on Friday of our show than they did in the whole of other conventions that they attended. And that Friday was our slowest day. Like I said, we had about 3,500 people through the doors. So everybody seemed to be here. Everybody was happy to be here. Everybody wanted to spend money, which is always great. And, part of the reason that we call this Pensacon is it's about Pensacola. I was born in Pensacola. I've lived in Pensacola all my life. I've traveled all over the place. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So we wanted to make sure that this community benefited as much as possible from Pensacon, and I think that's what happened, luckily. So,
yeah, I mean, we've all, the crew, the network, everyone like that I've spoken to about Pensacon, is just, I mean, it was an incredible event. It brought so much to the community. It became its own thing, I mean, and you and I, we talked obviously before the camera came on, and it was just an awesome conversation about, what it's truly about. You're not a traveling road band, you're people from this town trying to better this town and give it something that it hasn't had, really before, because even though if this event has taken place maybe 20 years ago, but it's not like it is today, this culture is the main focus almost in pop culture right now, I mean, each summer there's billions of these things that's coming out. There's science fiction everywhere, and to see someone like yourselves take on the task of we're going to bring this to this community was awesome, and to see that impact on the local community, the individual, is amazing. I mean, just that fact alone, like comic book dealers blown out of the water. I mean, that industry has been suffering for a while, and to be able to do something like that for them, it's awesome, man. So, speaking of local businesses, were they proactive or reactive? And what I mean by that is, oh my gosh, that sounds like a great idea. Or, oh damn, I wish I'd have been on board with that.
I think it was a mixture of both. It was definitely a mixture of both. I mean, there was people like Joe and Ed, who owns Play, some other people like that who came on board early and really did go all out with their parties, and they were proactive. But then there were other people who came on very last minute because they may have said no to us before, but they heard the hype and they wanted to get involved. And so, there were people coming on last minute whose parties may not have been as well received, because people can tell if it's something that was, not genuine, or just putting on something so people will show up. But yeah, I think it was a mixture of both. But I think overall it was really, really well received by Pensacola, and I think we worked really closely with the Downtown Improvement Board, and they were really on board with helping us with whatever we needed. So it was definitely well received.
And businesses that did take an interest and were proactive saw the benefit of that.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at someone like Sandy Sansing Mini, the Mini dealership. They did a really great display out in front of the Bay Center. They came to us and said, hey, we have an idea. They put, several of their cars out there. They had a Walking Dead themed car. They had put the red hand prints all over it like it was bloody. They had a Star Wars themed car that looked like a stormtrooper, and they had a big stand up piece of plexiglass that what did it say, man? I can't remember exactly what the word. It was like imagine yourself.
Yeah,
and people in their cosplays wanted to come and take pictures behind that plexiglass with the Mini logo, and they were able to leverage that into selling some cars from as a result of people coming to Pensacon, and also use it in their social media and their marketing. And it's a unique car, we're a unique event. It just felt like a natural partnership. So we've really tried to work with businesses that really want to work with us. And since the success of this year, we have seen a lot more people who are now for 2015, they really want to be a part of Pensacon, and we're excited about that because we think we can help. Like I said, we just want to help everybody else out too.
And I think you guys, obviously are making the right steps. We talked a lot before is being strategic, and I think that you guys have done that to that word. Like it's crazy to see how well you pulled it off last year, and then we'll get into it a little bit later about what you're doing to take those steps again. But I'm assuming it's just going to be a flawless execution, and if not, just let me have that veil because that I thought it was amazing. This one I think is going to be a cool question. So we established that Pensacon 2014 was a success. What is the one thing that you would have done differently looking backwards?
I think from a planning standpoint, we've got to make better use of our building. The Pensacola Bay Center is not designed for conventions, which is kind of a problem. It's a hockey arena essentially. It's a concert venue, so we have a lot of space that we just can't use. One of the things that we are considering right now and probably will implement is that we're going to put our artist alley on the third floor ring of the Bay Center, up around the top of the seats that overlooks the floor where everything is. Because we need to get more space and more flow. That's the one thing that we had an issue with. And again, it's the building has its limitations. So we're trying to do more logistically to try to figure that out. The seating, everyone loved the seating, even though that's kind of a problem for us because it takes away space that we could use for other things. This year we're gonna make that seating more useful to people. So we're hoping we can put up some video screens and have some trailers playing and things like that, so people will be able to sit in the stands, take a break, have their lunch, watch trailers, watch videos, do whatever they need to do there just to take a break. Because that's something that really is missing at a lot of conventions is the ability to take a break. So we want to utilize that. Yeah. The other thing is we're gonna get the ice out this year.
With the ice coming up from below the floor about 5 feet. And freezing my nards.
Yes.
Okay.
Nards is a good word.
And I went through all the possible permutations of what I could have said there.
It was hockey season. The ice costs a lot of money to take out. We're going to take down the walls that were there and the ice, and we're going to try to expand our vendor floor a little more and get a little more flow. We had some issues with, like I said, with traffic flow, but that was our biggest issue. And luckily, the fire marshal came in on Saturday and said he was going to shut us down and keep people from coming in the door. And he came here to the hotel and said the same thing. He said, you're blocking doors, we can't have it. And luckily someone said, look, let's walk up to the crowd and let me show you something. So he walked up to the crowd, they said, excuse me, and the people just parted. He was able to walk right through, and he said, okay, I'm going to let you guys go because the people here are so well behaved. And that's the other thing we love about our crowd is they are, we had 0 police incidents, we had 0 security incidents during Pensacon. Everybody was super, on their best behavior. And so we think as long as the crowd is good, we're going to be able to, we'll manage these people. And the other thing we're going to do differently this year is I think we're going to try to move towards more of Pensacola downtown. It's going to have to become our third venue. We've already talked with some folks. There's some meeting space on Palafox Street that we're going to utilize for some things like art shows and prop exhibitions and things like that. But we're really going to have to move out from the Bay Center. We're going to have some more stuff in the parking lot. We've talked about having some musicians out there, some different attractions out there to keep people engaged in different areas so that everybody doesn't bunch up in one spot again, which was the biggest problem.
Also, like just this, even I think what I'm blown away by right now is the fact, and I didn't even think about it until you mentioned it, was you talk about, we had 12,000 people. 12,000 people, not one fight, not one cop incident, not one this, not one that. Everybody got along. Where do you hear about that? You don't go to football games. That ain't the case. You can't go to like concerts. That's not the case. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's a really cool fact. Like, and that's something I think that you should shout to the rooftops, man.
We have definitely, and it's something that we've been trying. It's a selling point that our crowd is unique in the way that it's a family. It's like a family gathering. It's a fan gathering, and you feel it's, even though people may have their different genres that they're more attracted to, it's definitely, people come because we're all fans, and it's people embrace each other because they know that they're there for the same reasons.
And not to harp on numbers, because I know that bores everybody to tears, but the average attendee at Pensacon was 39. The average household income was $60,000. I mean, these were people that, if from a business standpoint, the people that, and that's another reason that business wants to be involved with us more now, is that they see that these are people who are a desirable demographic. Right. They're well behaved, they're family people, as Manda said, they have money that they want to spend on stuff that they love, and we just want to provide them with stuff that they love. I'm despite what people hear, these numbers, I'm not wealthy. I'm not rich. I still work.
Mike, I've seen the numbers now. Come on.
I still work a full-time job. I'm still, I still teach journalism classes. I still do all of those sorts of things. And Pensacon is just another thing that I do. It'd be nice one day if it could make it into a living. But I really do this because I love it, and I've always wanted to do it since I was, 5 years old, and I saw the Batman TV series for the first time when reruns, and then I discovered Star Trek, and I don't want to, kids, I don't want to scare you or anything, but back then we only had 3 channels, and so
I'm done.
And there was no internet. And in the afternoons we would watch, that's Batman came on 2 episodes back to back in the afternoons. Star Trek came on at 6 o'clock. That's what my life was when I was a kid. I watched it on a black and white television. I'm an old man. I'm 44 years old. I'm an old man by today's standards. But that's what I grew up and that's what I loved.
Hey, 40's the new 30.
Yeah, and my interest just kept developing in that way. I know it's hard to look at me and tell, but I have been a nerd for my entire life. So. It's just who I am. So doing this event was something I had dreamed of for a long time, and to see it succeed and to see that there are people like me out there was really exciting.
I will point out, and just to clarify for those who are going to watch this, Pensacon's a part-time job for this man. So that success, he just did it in his spare time, which is awesome. The success of Pensacon 2014 had to have made it easier to book guests for 2015. Am I right or am I wrong?
It's made it a little bit easier. But the expectation there now, I think, is from the audience is that we should be able to get more guests. Yeah. How I can address that is, where are we going to put them? That's been our biggest issue, and that's why we said the one thing we're going to have to do differently for 2015 is sort of push people out into the parking lot, into downtown Pensacola, utilize more space, because if we could bring in, people ask me all the time, like, there's some guests that people ask for that we obviously can't do. Robert Downey Jr. does not come to regional conventions or even big conventions besides Comic-Con, and that's because the studios make him. But but the general public generally, they don't get that. They think, if you're big and you're successful, you should be able to get Robert Downey Jr. down there. We should be able to get, we would love to bring Stan Lee to Pensacola. But if we brought Stan Lee to Pensacola, the crowds would be unmanageable. There's just no way we can do that at this point in Pensacon's evolution. We're moving towards hopefully convincing this city that we need a convention center, and that's something we've been working on with local government, with local business, with local advocacy groups. We're trying to push everybody, and the process has begun. A study has been initiated, we can say. So because we think if we could bring even 20 events that were even comparable to Pensacon every year to Pensacola, there's a lot of money to be made and a lot of benefit to our city in doing that. So we're trying to push for that. But right now, we're going to bring you the best possible guests we can. We're going to try to manage the space the best we can. And I think if you look at our guest list already this year, you'll see we have a lot of amazing people already signed up.
That's actually, we were talking about it on the way over, and it was just, I feel like it's almost, I was trying to think of a funny analogy, but it's pretty much like it's just one bam, bam, like just mega punch, mega. It's crazy. You guys are looking to focus on a classic television. You guys kind of want to go over that and any big names as far as that goes?
Well, classic TV, one of the things that I've stressed since Pensacon started, and something that's hard for people to understand sometimes as well, is that I want to be all-inclusive. So classic TV, we're going all the way back this year. We're going all the way back to the 60s, because we have Lisa Loring, who played Wednesday Addams on the original Addams Family, and Felix Silla, who was Cousin It. But Felix is so much more than that, because Felix was, he was also Twiki and Buck Rogers, when in the 25th century with Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray. He was that character, and then he was also the flying Ewok in Return of the Jedi. When you see the flying Ewok, that's Felix. So Felix has done a million things over his career. He's been in Star Trek. He was a Talosian in Star Trek, the original Star Trek series. He's just done a lot of things. He's a really interesting guy. So, we tried to get those kind of folks, we did want to have kind of a Star Trek focus this year because we went kind of Star Wars heavy last year. So we'd have got Nichelle Nichols already on board, Lieutenant Uhura.
Yes.
From the original Star Trek. And like I said, Carol Struycken, speaking of the Addams Family, Carol was Lurch in the Addams Family movies, but he was also Mr. Hom in Star Trek The Next Generation. And for myself, I'm most excited. He was in Twin Peaks. He was the giant in Twin Peaks, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So I was really excited to get him on board. Tony Todd is coming. Everybody knows Tony as the Candyman, from those movies.
Yep.
But he was also on Star Trek. He played several key Klingon roles on Star Trek Next Generation over the years. So and we're going to be adding some more Star Trek guests. People should keep their eyes open. Hopefully, as we get a little closer, we'll be able to announce them. Movie-wise, we've hit some highs so far. Michael Biehn from Terminator and Aliens and Tombstone. He's on board. Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead in all the Hellraiser movies, is there. And then another thing that people asked for a lot in 2014 was, he said, what would you like to see more? We did a lot of surveys after, and they said they wanted to see more voice actors this year. Right. So we've gotten people from the world of anime and the world of standard cartoon kind of voices. So again, I'm going to say to you, I don't understand it because I'm an old man. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers still super popular.
Were you guys excited about Master Shake coming?
I am.
So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, we got Karen Ashley, who's the Yellow Ranger.
Yep, we were talking about that.
But so we decided we'd go for the trifecta and we'd get the three villains. So we have Kerrigan Mahan, who played Goldar. We have Robert Axelrod, who played Lord Zed, and then we have Barbara Goodson, who was the voice of Rita Repulsa. So we got the bad guys. Since we had the Blue and the Black Ranger last year, this past year in 2014.
I just have to enter. Is there any way that we can get all of them back together in a bare knuckle fight and just see if the Power Rangers were successful or if it's really evil that
they were in good shape.
Walter Jones can bust a move. I don't know if you saw.
He didn't sit there. He did just bust a move.
He's a dancer. That guy can move. So I think they would be in trouble. Robert Axelrod is getting up there in age. So Robert Axelrod is an interesting guy because Manda mentioned Dana Snyder is another one of our guests from Master Shake, from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and he's the alchemist on the Venture Brothers, and is Granny on Squidbillies. So Adult Swim theme. Robert Axelrod, who was the voice of Lord Zed, is actually he's on Tim and Eric's show.
Yes.
And he plays he's one of the older guys that does like the little commercial things that they do in between. I can't remember what his name is, Terry something, but he does the little interstitial things. Robert's on that show too, so I think people will be, when they see him, they'll be like, oh my god, it's that guy.
It's that dude.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun too. But yeah, we went more for voice actors. The other big reunion we're gonna have, we've got two big reunions really,
all right,
voice actor wise. We have the voices of Gurren Zim from Invader Zim. Richard Horvitz and Ricky Simmons are going to be here, and then the other one is we got Noah Hathaway, who of course a lot of people know Noah from Battlestar Galactica. He played Boxey in the original Battlestar Galactica, but he went on to star in this movie called The Never-Ending Story. If you had cable when you were a kid, you probably saw this movie about 500 times because it was on every day.
Oh yeah.
So we got he's Atreyu, Noah Hathaway, and then we also got Alan Oppenheimer, who. Alan is the voice of Falkor, the luck dragon in that movie. But Alan has done a million things. In addition to his voice acting, he was also the original Oscar Goldman in The $6 Million Man. In the pilot for $6 Million Man, he was Oscar Goldman. He was Steve Austin's boss. But so that's more for like me. Yeah, and he's the voice of Skeletor and Man at Arms. So Alan's done a million things. If you look up his credits, it's a long list.
The people, it's ridiculous. Like these people haven't just done like one big thing. It's like they've done a lot of big things. You're bringing in a ton of impressive talent. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and even like new stuff. Today we announced that we have Chad Roop, who's playing the Weather Wizard in the new Flash series that hasn't premiered yet.
We're super excited.
So Chad Rook's going to be a great guest. We're really excited to have him here because this is like one of the first cons he's really doing since that's been announced. He'll be doing that.
I think it's great that you got him now because the show hasn't been released yet, and with the content they've put out and with DC's focus on that part of their industry, it's going to be massive. And to have him in here now, oh man.
It's kind of like getting someone before Arrow was launched, you know?
Right,
Like, and
yeah.
just look how they're huge now. They're huge, especially
they're big
in the,
time.
And spin off
Big
from
time.
Arrow, you know,
Convention
this is
circuit.
an Arrow. They're going to cross over quite often.
Which I'm
so-
super excited about.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be really neat. And then the rumor has it on their show that if everything goes accordingly, then there'll be other DC characters they're going to
Yes.
bring to light, and it's going to be glorious.
We're
And I'm, you know, I'm also, you know, people always ask us like, well, you guys are just focused on celebrities, but no, we also, you know, we want to bring in comic artists and art writers and stuff. We have Victor Gischler this year, who, when they relaunched X-Men in 2011, he was the guy that wrote the first run of that. Victor's done a lot. He's, you know, owned projects with Image, and you know, he's writing the Spike and Faith series, right, or Angel and Faith series right now, based on the Buffyverse, the continuation of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV seasons that they've done in the comic book form. He's writing that right now, so Victor's going to be awesome. Dave Dorman's coming back, you know, the #1 Star Wars artist in the whole world, and one of our favorite guests. He's coming back. So we'll have a lot more folks to announce. We're just getting started, really.
Yeah, it's like we were talking. I mean, it's just like I was blown away. You know, we're not even at the halfway point. You know, and it's like we've got everybody in the world coming to Pensacon 2015, and it's just awesome to see it. You know, and I think a big part of it is you know, we talked about it before, strategy, right? You know, so how does your strategy playing in from 2014 to 2015? Obviously, it sounds like it's made it easier on the guest list. We've already established that it has. But has it changed? Has it had to adapt? I mean, what are you doing differently for 2015?
It's definitely adapted. I think that in the first year, I mean, for me personally, it was really exciting being involved in a first year convention because there is a learning curve and there is a lot to learn, but we really can apply that to next year. And I think everything that we learned from 2014 will be applied to 2015, and it'll be bigger, better. It'll run more smoothly. And as far as marketing goes, I mean, we made a huge splash in the water with 2014. I mean, we really wanted to make a big leap out there and just get as much coverage as we could. And, you know, of course we plan to do the same thing for 2015, but I think it'll be, we won't have to stretch quite as far, and I think our marketing dollars will be able to stretch a little further because we have established a name for ourselves now, you know, especially regionally and locally, we definitely have. So I think we'll be able to have a little bit more fun with it this year, but we'll still be going to events like Dragon Con, and we mentioned we're going to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, everything that we've talked about, I'm jealous, but it's cool.
I mean, you got awarded at Dragon Con, so
we will see how that one pans out, but you guys will be there to tell me about
yeah,
it.
you should definitely.
We'll go up and accept for you if you want.
That would be awesome if you could just go up there
we'll
and
accept
then
on your behalf.
you could, and then
Make a
start
speech for you.
ramble a little bit because that's what I do. And
I'll just
maybe
I'll just say thanks a lot, and I'll just drop the microphone
oh, that
and
would
walk
be
off the
fantastic.
stage.
Got this. Drop it.
Just walk off.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've kind of learned that we were going to apply to our strategy is we figured out where our advertising worked best.
Because we experimented a little
Yeah,
bit.
we tried to
Actually,
hit all different kinds of media, and we really found that social media is still the strongest for us.
Crazy, isn't it?
No,
you know,
right.
something that really, not even a decade ago, was really as popular as it now is now one of the driving factors behind y'all's brand.
Well,
And
it's engagement. It's all about engagement. We want to stay engaged with people, you know, not only here locally, out in public, but also online. We just want to keep people involved, and that's why you'll see, you know, we're doing things like the movie club with the Pensacola News Journal that we do at the theater, where, you know, people can go in and watch the movie with folks from Pensacon and then talk about it afterwards. Or we do, you know, we did the charity event for Manda recently. You know, so we're going to stay involved in this community throughout the year. You're not going to see Pensacon be here for one part of the year, disappear, and then you'll never see us again. We're going to stay involved.
You know, we want to stay prominent and involved, and, you know, we don't want to just be like a one-hit event that happens once a year and then you don't ever hear from us again until it rolls around again. Because we really want to be involved, and, you know, we were going out to every gallery night last year. We'll still continue doing that, probably starting in July, and we just did a benefit for Mana food pantries and raised some money for them with an art auction, and we're looking to do another event. Well, we have the Zombie Run coming up in November 1st.
Very excited about that.
And then mid-November we're looking to do another comic arts festival. We're hoping to get some grant monies for that, so
Really cool.
we'll keep you posted about
Oh
that.
yeah, please do. Like I said, anything that Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw it our way.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. Well, you, Mike, anything that you've got in the plan that you're going to do differently for 2015?
I think marketing-wise, we've been able to focus more on what works for us and what doesn't work. So we know that social media was the #1 driver of people to Pensacon.
It's huge.
So as long as we can keep that engagement up, that's where we're going to put our focus. It seems to be we've built a community, which I really like. You know, not only, as Manda said, we have events in the community throughout the year that we keep ourselves out there and we keep ourselves connected to our fans, but also online we want to keep connected to our fans as well. So it's just going to be a combination of those kind of strategies. And obviously there's still some traditional media stuff that we'll be doing that will work.
We really did. We experimented like across all mediums last year.
Yeah.
And that was fun. But I think, like Mike said, this year we really found out what worked. And
I remember thinking, like, and to like put the, you put that as an example. You're like, we bought billboards.
Yeah,
you know, and
that
like,
worked. That was one of the biggest things that people
and
noticed.
I would have thought, and until you guys would have go, actually, that was one of our biggest. And I was like, damn, really? That's like billboards, which is, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, the digital billboards are amazing because you can put
fun.
as many rotating images as you want up there. So we could have a billboard that had Ernie Hudson, and we could have a billboard that had, Christian Narn and
the day
Finn
we
Jones.
announced a guest, we could put it up there.
The day we announced it, we could put a guest up there and say a new guest announcement and have their photo up there. So it's a really nice thing to be able to get, and and it was, people drive, they see them, they really do work.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So we've already talked about you guys are going to kind of rework the layout of the actual area to make sure that you can, adhere to what everybody needs and kind of just make it a little smoother for everyone, right? Is there a pressure, and it can be internal, external, meaning you guys have it on yourselves to just go after it harder, or the community has it on you? I mean, there's got to be something where they're like, you feel, is there a push to have 2015 be bigger and better, or is it just something that you want to do because you're passionate about it?
It's a mixture of both. I think Mike was saying, I don't know if it was before we were filming, but Mike was definitely saying that there's a huge amount of pressure coming from the community because they saw how well we did this year, and they expect us to be able to come with even bigger names, and which we will be able to within reason. But I think it also has to do with our passion for what we do, and we really blew it out of the water, I think, for the first year. So the momentum hasn't stopped, and we definitely want to keep going with it.
And it's nice to have a balance of people. Like I said, I'm old and gray and 44, and these guys are all in their 20s, the people that work with me, and then we have some people that are in their 30s, and we all sit around and hash out the ideas of who will work and who won't work for our convention, who fits this hole that we need, somebody that we need to fit in this peg. So we try to do that and keep it, because it's like they're a guest that they have no idea who they are, that I'm super excited about, and they are guests that they are super excited about that I have no clue.
Master Shake didn't do it for you?
Oh, Master Shake I'm all about Master Shake. I've been lucky in that I kind of knew, like I keep saying last year because we're already in 2015 in our minds when we're talking about Pensacon. But at Pensacon 2014, we had Clay Croker here, who was an artist, storyboard artist, and one of the creators of Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh, yes.
He's also the voice of Zorak on that show, and he's the voice of Dr. Weird on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Well, just through social media, since we're talking about that, I had met him years ago through social media. I met him, and then I met him in Atlanta in person, and we talked, and just kind of became acquaintances. So he was one of the first people I could call and go, "Hey, Clay, do you want to come to Pensacon?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." Yeah,
that's got to be awesome.
So it's
busy.
It's strange. It's strange to for Timothy Zahn to email me and say, "Yeah, I want to come to your convention, and we can talk back and forth about his Star Wars books that were hugely influential on me," or or poor Christian Narn Hodor emailing me and texting me from the airport in Atlanta saying, "I'm stuck in the airport for the night. I'm just going to sleep here." And me going, "No, you need to go to a hotel." And he's like, No, I'm just going to stay in the airport." I was like, "Christian, just go to a hotel." He was like, No, it's fine. I'll just sleep here in the airport. I was like, "Oh man," but it's like I've got. Vernon Wells from the Road Warrior, I've got his phone number in my phone. I can call him whenever I if I need to talk to him about something. It's really weird. Like, a year ago, none of this stuff would have been available to me. But like now, these people, and that's the thing about the celebrities that some people don't understand, is that they're just people. They're just really nice, and in most cases, really nice people. So you get to know them, and you get to be friendly with them. You can, and the Mana auction, for example, the floods wiped out Mana Food Pantries. Mana Food Pantries feeds over 3,500 people in our community every month. They wiped them out completely. They can't distribute food at any level right now. So we did this benefit. I was able to call agents and celebrities I knew and say, hey, I need some stuff to auction off. And like within, Manda can testify at the office, within days, stuff started showing up. Signed stuff from, Kane Hodder sent a signed hockey mask. And Tony Todd sent signed T-shirts. And, and George Takei sent us a signed photo. So it was like all of these people just started sending stuff in. And then we called on the local community. We got them together to do art. And so it's just building, like I said, building those connections and keeping that spirit of Pensacon alive, because everybody came together at Pensacon and had a good time. We just want to keep that spirit going all the time.
There's one, like, you guys have obviously done a lot of like planning and moving in the right direction and staying involved with the community, and I think, it just sounds like every step that you've made has been validated as the right move. You know what I mean? Like, you guys, it's just crazy to see the success that you've had. It's crazy to hear the planning that you've done. Hell, celebrities like, no, I will be at your place. I'm going to stay in the airport. I will be there. And you're like, don't just get a hotel, dude. It's cool. No, I got to be at Pensacon. and then with the food pantry stuff, like, it's just awesome to see that type of, like, thing happen, because I'm just in our society, it's unheard of to hear like, hey, we need help, here you go, anything that we can do, and it's just it falls back on you, and your entire staff of what you guys put together and how effective and how well taken it was. That's huge. It really is. It's impressive. It's almost awe. You'd be like to sit back and hear these stories about celebrities wanting to help out. Celebrities. We talked to a comic book artist who drove up here last year because they couldn't get to flight because of how bad the weather was, and it was just it's so crazy. And it wasn't about the money. It's not about it's about the fans and the people. Which is just awe-inspiring. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, another one of those kind of memory with that jog when you said a comic book artist drove. Last year, because of the travel issues on Thursday night, that we had a lot of problems with getting people here. Mark Texeira, who's a very famous comic book artist. He's done tons of work. He's like, if you've seen Wolverine drawn somewhere, it's probably a Tex art. Yeah. He's like one of those guys that's really known for Wolverine and Ghost Rider. Tex wasn't able to make it here on Friday because his flight got canceled. He wasn't able, so he drove. He drove and got here. He came in on Saturday. Well, on Friday, a guy came up to me and he said, man, I've been holding on to this issue of Wolverine since I bought it off the stand when I was 8 years old. I really wanted Texeira to sign it, and I can only be at Pensacon today. He's like, I'm really disappointed. I was like, well, I said, just let me have that comic. He's like, the guy was really hesitant to let me have his comic. Like, he's like, I've had this since for 20-something years. I don't know if I can just give it to you. It's been in this bag, and he was very protective of it. And I was like, just trust me. Let me handle this for you. I know Tex a little bit. I think it'll be fine. So I took the comic from him, and I went to Tex the next day, and I went to Steve Scott, who is another artist who did the work on our logo last year, in 2014, this year. He did the logo for us, and I said, Steve, let's talk to Tex. Do you think Tex will sign this comic? And Steve's like, yes, Tex will sign. So I went to Tex, and Tex was like, oh man, no problem at all. So he not only signed the comic for him, he took the board out and drew a sketch on the board for him, and then drew on the bag as well, and drew like a note to him on the bag, and drew stuff. And so I was able to, after Pensacon, I was able to get a hold of him. I got the guy's email, and I emailed him. I said, hey, I've got your comic. I want to give it back to you. We met up, and I gave him his comic, and he was like, tears. He was crying because this was why he came to Pensacon. And he's like, no other convention would have done that for us. Would have said, like, we're going to make this happen for you, And so we when we say we're about fans, we're about fans. That's what we're here for. This isn't about us getting rich or being, or making a bunch of money or whatever. It's about the fans. We had the same situation. A guy drove all the way from Orlando. He had a guitar that was themed to Stargate, the show Stargate. And his dream, the hole actually looks like the Stargate in the guitar. The neck is all inlaid with Stargate symbols and things. He wanted to get this guitar signed by the Stargate cast, and Chris Judge was here, Christopher Judge. Yeah. So he emailed me. He's like, do you think I could get Chris to sign my guitar? I'll pay for it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure we can make it happen. So I talked to Chris and his agents, and Chris was like, you don't have to pay for it. Just come bring him to me. I'll sign it for him. Chris talked to him for like 30 minutes, and they just sat and talked about this guitar and talked about Stargate. Chris signed the guitar for him. It was great. And that's like the kind of stuff that stuck with me. More than any of the success, more than any other stuff, is just seeing fans really enjoy themselves, or seeing people, post things online saying, God, I didn't expect this. I had so much fun at Pensacon. That's what makes us happy. That's what makes us jump up and down and gives us chill bumps, and just we're really excited when people say that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, you just don't, like I said it a second ago, you don't hear about these things, and to hear stories like that, it's crazy. I mean, what you are doing is creating fans for life, not just one con, not just for two cons, but I mean, as long as this event is going, and it will continue to grow and go, you are going to have fans there because of the things that y'all have done, because of a guitar signing, because of, I got your comic book, bro, I'll get it taken care of for you. These tiny things that y'all do that may not seem like a lot to the masses are huge, and those tiny things will continue to get you guys going where you need to go. So that's awesome, man. So 2015, what are we doing differently? What did you guys wake up Tuesday morning after it was all done and go, now this is what we're doing differently? Or how are we getting there?
I mean, I think that we're just going to keep with the momentum, and I don't think there's really, we touched a little bit on things that will change with the layout, but I don't think there's much that we need to change as far as how we work and how we do things.
The surveys that were done, and they were done by an outside company. Visit Pensacola actually hired an outside research company to come in and do exit surveys from Pensacon, and 96% said they would be back.
98%.
No, I'm sorry, 98%. And then
where do you get results like that?
Yeah, it doesn't. They said, and 93% said that it was a great experience this year.
Oh, yeah.
98% said they come back, and then over 70% said they would just come back to visit Pensacola.
It was over 80%.
Oh, was it 80?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they said they would come back just to visit Pensacola, not during Pensacon.
Like 86%.
They just really enjoyed Pensacola so much, seeing Pensacola because of Pensacon. So we really feel like we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish as far as exposing our community. Because like I said, 40%, and Amanda said earlier, 40% of our visitors were from out of town. So we're going to focus on that. We're definitely going to try to stretch our reach a little further. We're gonna extend in where we can try to market to people. We didn't get as many people from Alabama and Tennessee as we thought we would get. We got, for some reason, we got a lot of people from Orlando. We got a lot of people from Atlanta. So Dragon Con, that helped us a lot going there. We got a lot of people from Atlanta. And Mississippi, that way we got a lot of folks. New Orleans, we need to capture more folks. Alabama, we need to get more folks. We just need them to understand that this is going to be, Chris Judge, who we spoke about earlier, Stargate, said to me on Saturday night, he's standing, I'll never forget, standing outside of Vinyl after the Doctor Who party. We were standing out, my wife and I were standing out there talking to Chris, and Chris said, look, he said, I've been to a lot of conventions in my life, but I've never been to one that was as much fun as this convention is. He said, Dragon Con should watch their back, because he said in 10 years, this could be Dragon Con. This could be a convention with 60 or 70,000 people coming every year. He said, and I after I picked myself off the ground, I said, that'd be great. But yeah, he was, he's one of those guys who's been out there this year telling his friends, like, you need to go to Pensacon. His celebrity friends, like, you need to go to Pensacon. That's where you need to be next year.
And it was just going the extra mile for people, going the extra mile for the fans, like the examples that Mike just gave, and for the guests. We had, food out there for them, like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, but they totally appreciated that. And then being there the second they walk in the door at the hotel and handing them their packets with their room key, and they're already checked in. And, things that we thought were just common knowledge, just to make sure they're taken care of. A lot of places, a lot of the bigger cons, they just get herded around like sheep. But we, since it was our first year and we really wanted to make sure everything went more than smoothly and they felt more than taken care of, I think they really could feel that and they really noticed that.
And that's what we're going to continue to do.
Yeah.
We really focused on making sure that everybody was happy. Whether you were an attendee, you were a guest, you were an artist, whoever you were, we wanted to make sure you were having a good time.
I will even say that, we were there as press, but it was literally like anything that, and we didn't request, I think, anything. But if it was like, hey, is it okay if we get in early? Just I want to make sure we get a good seat. Like, oh yeah, come on in, And everybody from the person outside greeting us to, us getting our passes to the people in the panel. It was ridiculous how well the service was. And it was just awesome to see that. And it starts at the top. You lead by example, and you guys have did that. And it filtered down to everybody, which was great. What are our expectations for 2015? Now, we've talked a lot about strategy. We've talked about guest lists. We've talked about people from traveling from all over the place. What's the count that we're expecting for 2015?
The head count? I think we're going to double. That's the prediction.
So are we doubling 12, or are we going, you guys, all right, we did 12, we're going to do 10 for sure. 15 is what we're shooting for.
Oh yeah, I think at least 15.
I think we might do 15 a day.
Yeah.
15 a day
Next year.
I think that's the cap, right?
Yeah,
15
yeah, that's probably about where we're
So
going
we
to have
should
to
get our
cap.
hotel
per
down.
day.
You should.
Per day.
Well,
so
I can
15 per day.
I can tell you right now that we've sold more passes already at this point in this year than we did towards the end of the last year. So by December 31st, when we changed the prices increased, we've already sold more tickets this year than we did for
At that point,
2014.
Wow.
And this hotel, I know they've already told us they've booked 140 something rooms already.
Yeah, we probably need to go ahead and get on that.
Yeah.
ahead
So,
and get your room.
and it's June, so it's still a ways out, a good 8 months away.
Yeah.
So yeah, they said the day after the convention, people were calling and saying, "Can we book our room for next year?"
I will tell you this, and everybody I think here can attest to it, is when I got back from Pensacon on Sunday, I went to my Facebook, and it literally was like, I wish I would have gotten weekend passes to Pensacon. Damn it, next year I'm doing weekend passes. And every person that we stopped to interview on the way out was like, we should have been here the entire time. And
we
I
heard
guarantee,
that a lot.
it's crazy, and to have people already like, hey, I know it just ended, can I get my room for next year? It's crazy. It's ridiculous. So we're getting ready to wrap up. We've talked a lot about the guest list. Is there anything that you guys want to reveal on this interview for the Geek.io network and how it stacks? Or
No.
No.
There's nothing I can tell you. There's nothing I can tell you. If I had to,
I love you so much.
yeah. No, I mean, I can tell you this. Just keep watching the Facebook and the website. There will be a lot more to come, and there's a lot of people who can't commit yet because of their schedules. They have to make sure, and we'd rather not, we'd rather not announce people and then have them cancel. So they're going to wait until a little bit closer to the event. But there's some huge names, coming up.
Household names.
Yeah, household names that people are going to be in awe of when they happen.
Goose pimples.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that people know also, November 1st is the next big Pensacon event.
Yeah, that's it. And we will
zombie run.
we're going to be there for the zombie run. It's November 1st. We'll get you all that details for everyone listening and watching the podcast or the interview now. We'll get all that information to you as quickly as we can get it. We'll be there covering the event. I might even participate if I'm feeling froggy. Now that I feel committed to say I will.
Yeah, we're going to have the run, and then we'll have like a little festival afterwards
Which
as well.
will be completely awesome.
Yeah.
It'll be like an end of the world party.
End of the world party? Oh, hell yeah. It's going to be great. And then we've got, you're trying to plan an event at the end of November, correct?
Yeah, and towards more the
middle,
of November.
And more details to come on that.
We're waiting for some more stuff to happen, but hopefully that will be happening as well.
And as of right now, November 1st is the date that the zombie run will
It's
happen.
gonna
Probably
happen.
be 3 times the size. We're expecting 3 times the amount of people coming out. Yeah, it's going to be a
'Cause
huge party at the end.
The one we did last year, we did like the Sunday before Pensacon. We did it very kind of last minute, and we still drew 350.
It was 400.
400
About
participants,
400, yeah.
with runners and zombies, and we expect we'll have at least. We're working with a local company again called Running Wild, who do a lot of runs here in the area, and they have a running store, and they're going to actually handle a lot of the administration side of it. So they're experts in that. So the run will be a lot different than it was before. It'll be a lot more.
Just as fun.
But even I think even more fun because it'll just be more planned out.
It'll be more immersive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, should I go in like costume and bring like a crossbow or?
Yes, yes, you should.
Well, there's amazing footage of the last one online where we had some gates up and we had all the zombies behind the gates, and we had the guy in the hazmat suits trying to hold them back, and they couldn't hold the gates anymore, and that's when they all were released into the street.
I feel that I should dress up like Ash from Evil Dead and then run the zombie run in boots with a fake chainsaw.
I don't know if I'd
If you
run
want to
in
do
boots,
a
but
zombie, you could. We have professional makeup artists coming out to do the zombie makeup.
Oh, what if all right, so what if I get caught as Ash? Will they make me a zombie Ash, JD?
they will.
Sure, yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I want to say, Mike, Manda, I know y'all's time is valuable, but thank you guys so much for sitting down with us. I think it's been we've had a lot of fun today. I got a lot of stuff answered. I think the hype has just been increased for myself personally, and I'm sure I can speak for the rest of the guys here and the people watching. We're super excited, and again, thank y'all so much for 2014. It meant a lot to me to be able to be there, and I'll say this again because I wrote an article. I do believe that it was truly the birth of something amazing that's going to happen, A, to the community, but B, for that event and the fans. I do foresee this event being massive and just growing. I think that you're dead on with saying that 2015 is going to be huge. I believe you. Yeah, I truly do. I believe that 2016 will be even bigger. And again, I want to say thank you for putting it together and making it happen. You guys were awesome, and yeah, I'm excited about 2015, man.
We're here for the fans, and without them, none of this would be possible. If they hadn't turned out, you know, we wouldn't be talking about 2015. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to you guys, everybody out there, for being a part of this.
Yeah, guys. Well, once again, thank y'all for letting us get together. We appreciate y'all's time. I am JD from Howlett Stacks, representing the Geek.io network, and this was a Pensacon 2015 exclusive.